What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video I have another unboxing. Welcome back to my dorm room, everybody, as I have finally sent models to school, because previously I had very short weeks up here, so it was kind of meaningless to send a package up here. So these are the Gemini Jets pre-orders that I made from the February announcement. As I record this, we still haven't gotten any sort of March announcement yet. So we're still waiting on these new releases to come out. And hopefully they're out by the time this video comes out. I'm hoping that they'll do them on a Tuesday, but we will see what happens. So, all right, so we are in. We've got 3 models in here. We should have 3. And the first model on top, this is the one that I'm kind of excited about. This is the Southwest 737-700 with splits. And I'll talk about why I got this instead of the NG, because there's a huge debacle behind that. Second model in here, I was tempted by this when I saw this initially. There is an invoice, I have to remove that real quick. And that is the United 737-800 with the Star Alliance livery. This model turned out really good in the Gemini photos, so I decided to pick this one up as well. I'm also on the fence about the Aeromexico, but a friend showed me photos of it and it looks really good. So I will probably pick that up later on, probably at Airliners in Atlanta. And speaking of Atlanta, this is the model I've been most excited about for this unboxing. This is the Delta MD-88 with the Delta Flot livery, or not Delta Flot, Ron Allen, sorry. This is the first time we've gotten this livery in 1:400 scale on the MD-88, so very excited about this. Man, that looks so good. So really excited to finally complete the MD-88 fleet. So go ahead and clean this up and I'll adjust the camera and we will go ahead and begin the unboxing process. So we're gonna go in a bit of a different order here. I'm gonna start off with the United Star Alliance 737 because I don't wanna say that it's the least interesting out of this batch, but I am quite interested in the latter two. So we'll start off with the Star Alliance 737 here for this unboxing. So we no longer have the 25th anniversary insignia on these boxes, which is good. I mean, we're well past 2023, but I see that the Ron Allen 88 has that one though, so just something to note. But otherwise, your standard Gemini Jets box, nothing to really report on here. Looks like the model is assembled in there just upon first glance, which is good. And there's a standard Gemini Jets pamphlet. And then, on the back, we have the 2025 release and the Boeing and United license disclaimers. And it's fitting I've got a United pin here. I've got a bunch of these here at school, and I do use them in my classes. Item number on this is GJUAL 2312. Item numbers continue to climb. I think that's the highest item number that I own now. Yeah, it would be, because 2321, I think, is the highest item number that we have currently. A couple QC issues I've heard, but nothing too serious, so I'll just do our standard check, and we are good. Wow, the wings actually look really good on this. Maybe a little too low even. So we're kind of swinging to the opposite end of the pendulum here, but yeah, just looking at initial glance, they look really good. Gotta say, I think I initially said when these photos come out, I don't think we're really at a stage to give a full, thorough reassessment on the Gemini JC 737s, but I think we are starting to see this gap close between JC Gemini and NG because, I mean, this thing just looks incredible. I should actually use this box to prop it up. Let's do that real quick. There we go. Not exactly going to be perfect in alignment like my normal setup, but just have to make do with it for now. Sorry about the camera here. This is kind of acting finicky here. I'll flip it back just so I got a nice flatter surface to work with. And we'll just go ahead and do that. So sorry about my clutter there in the background. It's just part of my setup. But there she is, the United 737-800 Star Alliance by Gemini Jets. This thing has come into Sioux Falls a few times, so that's also another reason why I decided to get it. But starting off at the front, we do have the nose cone, cockpit windows, and I should show you the printing on this because it actually looks really good. Gemini's really upped the printing on the 737s here. But yeah, they see printed the nose cone very well on there and all the other details included. United titles down here, and then the big Star Alliance titles. There's the one antenna and that painted Wi-Fi dome. Mine has a little bit of white overspray on it. You can kind of see that there. And then the blue engines and blue winglets, which is a characteristic of the new Star Alliance livery here. Registration is November 76516. I think it was like 14219 that previously wore this, but she has been repainted now. And there's the Star Alliance tail with a fleet code behind that rear boarding door. And then on the other side, not too much to report on here, but yeah, I mean, look at all the printed details. Gemini really overdid themselves on the printing there, so really good job by them. Definitely a step up, and one of the better 737s, probably one of the best ones I've seen from them in a long time. Flip it underneath, there's the Gemini Jets logo, stand hole, all the other applicable details, and then the top of the aircraft with another look at that Wi-Fi dome. Has a little bit of a mark there on the side, but nothing major really. Some people were saying it is printed a little off-center, and yeah, it's definitely a little closer to that side, but you know, not a huge deal for me. I can live with that. One antenna, beacon light, and everything else. And I'll go ahead and bring my Southwest box in real quick so I've got a better platform to show you the wing angle on the 737s. But yeah, you can't tell me that looks way better than some of the older Geminis. I actually even need my other box too, just to really get nice and flat here. There we go. Yeah, I may have to just do that from now on to get a nice even shot of everything. But yeah, look at the wings. You can't tell me that looks like one of the better Gemini 737s that they've released recently. That is superb. Highly recommend this model. That is absolutely astonishing. So great effort by Gemini Jets here on this model. So I will put that over here. I've got a little sum right there. So now we'll move on to the Southwest 737-700 with the splits. And this one I've been really eager to unbox here. So obviously we know that NG Models announced this and released it in early 2024, and I was really excited about it. So I really wanted to get it. I hadn't pre-ordered it because I've been really against pre-ordering NGs since they have been very inconsistent in the past, but now it seems like they've gotten better, which is good. So I waited for the photos to come out, and when they did, the color was just dark. It was horrendous, and I just skipped out on it because I didn't want a dark color 737 for Southwest Airlines in my fleet. And I know that, yes, NG has the objectively better mold, but that color, that was just way too egregiously off for me to even accept that in my collection, because I already have, I think, like 3 other Southwest hearts. I have the 700 blended winglets by Panda, the 800 by NG, which is probably the best Southwest color out there, and then that second release Max 8 by Gemini Jets. So if I'd gotten that NG 700, that would stick out like a sore thumb, and I would have been so irked by it that I wouldn't have probably shut up about it for months. So that's why I didn't get it, and I was just waiting for someone else to do it. And thankfully, Gemini came in clutch with this, and here we are. This will be my first JC Gemini 737-700 splits in my collection. But this is the standard Southwest box, which is all white, no flap, all that fun stuff. So you can take a look at all the different details that are featured on this box, but otherwise, nothing too different here. This is also marked as a 2025 release, which is good. Item number is GJSWA 2293. And a couple issues with the wings and the engines, which again, you know, this is a Gemini 737, so they tend to have these problems. But again, I was really more after the color, so I can definitely live with those issues. And yeah, we are 2 for 2 on that. Very good. Actually appears a little darker than I thought. Interesting. Yeah, that is certainly interesting. The color definitely appears a little more darker to the naked eye than my others. So yeah, very interesting. But again, the other reason why I needed to get this was because my Panda one broke, that retailer exclusive from like 2021, I think it was. That one broke on me, so I really needed to get that. I need to get a replacement, and obviously NG, they effed up the color so bad that I was pretty much hell-bent on not buying it. And here we are with Gemini. They did come in clutch. The color's definitely a little darker than I would have thought, but you know, it's not. On camera, I don't think it appears that much darker. So, you know, make of it what you wish, but a lot of people have been definitely talking really good about the color. But to me, it just appears darker, but on camera, I would say it's probably a little brighter than it actually is. So maybe still a little bit on the darker end, but I think, honestly, it's still way better than what NG pulled out. Because, you know, that was just unfortunate, the way that they screwed up the color here. But yeah, Gemini did really good on this still, despite, you know, the mold issues and all that. So There it is, the Gemini Southwest 737-700 with the splits. Start off at the front, there's the nose cone, again, very printed on there. Cockpit windows, then we have the nose gear door with the fleet code on there. There's the nose gear, which is a little taller than some of the other ones on there, so you can see that. There's the L1 door with the little Southwest heart. Then the big Southwest titles and Southwest.com. Someone reported that their engines were angled up a little bit on one side. Yeah, mine do have that problem on that one side. Actually, probably on both of them even. Yeah, both engines are angled up a little bit, so very interesting. So I may have gotten one of the, not necessarily defective ones, but ones that probably weren't up to par with some of the other ones I've seen. There's a one antenna, Wi-Fi dome, and then there's the registration, November 9043 Whiskey November, which is the original California 700 that did wear this livery. It's now since been repainted onto the 800, which I have now, so nice to get this aircraft back in the collection, technically. Little fleet code, and then the American flag painted on the bottom of the tail, all that fun stuff. So, underneath of the aircraft, there's a Southwest chart, stand hole, landing gear holes, Gemini Jets logo, as always, getting smaller by the month. And then the top of the aircraft, which has the various details printed on there. So yeah, I mean, the color, I'm just looking at it here, it definitely is on the darker end. And then obviously I would need the NG700 to really get a proper comparison on it, but it's probably still brighter than that one, I would say. So, you know, definitely a little more interesting than I would have thought it would be. But either way, I'm very happy to have this model and happy to finally have this Southwest 737-700 splits back in the fleet since my Panda one broke. You know, I wasn't gonna buy the NG because they got the color way too dark. It's probably like 10 shades darker than this. Maybe a little bit of an exaggeration really, but still, it's definitely darker than what Gemini did here. But overall, solid model, would still recommend it if you need it. I think that the NG release is still probably easy to find in most places, so. And oh yeah, I forgot to show I'll show kind of the wing angle here. I don't know what the best way is to do this. Okay, just put it flat on my hand. The one wing is angled up, but the other not so much. So yeah, a bit more of an assembly issue there. Not as good as I was kind of expecting it to be really, but either way, I'm happy with it, so I can't really say much. I'm just happy that the model came in one piece, unlike in other cases. And thankfully Gemini's gotten well past that with regards to issues with quality control. So now I'll move on to the third and final model for this unboxing, which is going to be the Delta MD-88 Ron Allen. And as I mentioned earlier, this still has the 25th anniversary logo on here, but otherwise the rest of the box is pretty much standard. There's the model inside, and of course the aircraft information on the back. This is marked as a 2024 release, and I know they had announced this as a future release last July, and this didn't get announced until the February set, so obviously had this ready to go for a few months, and they just waited to announce it because they did the 200 scale release in the December-January set, and then they released the 400 scale version the next month. Item number on this is GJDAL 1124, so right in line with the Delta Flight 88 they announced last summer. But there it is, looking beautiful on the inside. And this is my first Ron Allen, or no, disregard that because I had that 763, but there we go. Ron Allen 88. Holy Toledo, that looks awesome. I see why people are loving this livery more than they used to. Yeah, it just looks so weird seeing it on the 88 because this is not a, this is not a common livery, since it only lasted for 3 years as the primary livery right after the widget livery and then before the Delta Flock came to be in 2000. So, it's interesting that that livery only lasted for a few years. But that's how it came to be. So this livery is definitely more interesting to see compared to like Delta Flot, which, Delta Flot's still my favorite livery of all time from Delta. And then Widget's second, and I would place Ron Allen in third. Not that it's a bad livery by any means, excuse me. It's just, Widget and Delta Flot are going to beat this in a lot of scenarios. So there it is, and there is the very lovely Delta MD-88 Ron Allen livery by Gemini Jets. Super happy to have this, and that completes the Delta MD-88 fleet. So I'll put them all together and I'll post a photo of it on my Instagram probably next week, since I won't be home until the end of this week. Let's go ahead and do the review. Starting off, we have the nose cone. There's the cockpit windows, little streaks on there. Little Sky Team logo, so this model represented probably right at the time that the Sky Team Alliance started. Then there's the Delta Airlines logo with the one little antenna on the top. You've got the polished underbelly that comes into view. And then over the wings there, you've got the beacon light and the American flag, registration November 9025 Delta Lima, which this aircraft had a couple problems in her life. I read into it a little bit. There's the engines, and then the very lovely Delta Teo with a fleet code printed at the top. And then on the other side, there's a Sky Team logo, which is placed ahead of the R1 door there and also highlighted to differentiate it from the cheat line. And then there's the rest of the aircraft with a couple luggage doors on that side. Now flip it underneath, there's the the polished underbelly, and then the top of the aircraft with the overwing exits and the other markings included. So there we go. That, my friends, is the Gemini Jets February releases unboxing. Just the 3 releases that I was really interested in, and definitely an interesting set of models that we will assess here before I end the video. So I'll just go ahead and put them all in a frame and just give you my overall thoughts on them. United Star Alliance is really good. I'm really surprised that this one turned out as well as it did. I mean, the wings they're basically perfect. They remind me of an NG 737. That's how good they are. So I definitely recommend this one. The Southwest, you know, the more I look at it, maybe it's just the lighting really, because I do have really bright lights in here, and just maybe more the perception of it really. But you know, I would say it definitely leans a little darker than some of the past Southwest releases that they've done, but usually the livery kind of fades over time a little bit, and this should be a newer painted aircraft because it's obviously wore a special livery in the past, California 1, so it should be a little more fresher painted and thus a little more brighter. But again, I would say it's still better than the NG in terms of color. Again, I need the NG side by side really to get a proper assessment on it. But the main star of this release is going to be that Delta Ron Allen 88. Very happy with how that turned out once again. Super excited for what other Mad Dogs they've got, and hopefully they have the March releases out by the time this video comes out. But as far as I know, they got stuck somewhere, something got held up in the chain, so that's why we've had to wait an extra week for these releases to come out. But yeah, I'm excited for what they've got coming out, if they aren't out by the time this video is released. I'm hoping that they're released on the same day this is going out, because you'll see that then come out about an hour or so after, pending my schedule and all that. But yeah, really happy to have all these models from the February announcement, and I hope you guys enjoyed this unboxing, even if a little long and a bit tedious, because again, it's been a while since I filmed in my dorm room, since I always send new models back home, so I just wait until that weekend after to get them unboxed and posted to YouTube. I would definitely recommend all 3 of these models again, so keep an eye out for those if you really want them still, and they'll definitely be available for quite a while. They're not going to sell out. Maybe that Ron Allen, probably a little less so, but the other 2 should be fine. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this unboxing, and with that being said, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.